my breakfast. This is a piece of Parmesan cheese, for which I think I've overpaid. This is like snack size. I got it from like an online store where I order stuff sometimes, and I paid like 20 lei for it, and I think a big block of Parmesan cheese is less than that, but it's good Parmesan. I love cheese. All cheese is good cheese in my opinion. I will be having some real food later on, but for now I have another cup of coffee. And today I'm not really in the mood to do anything. The sun has forsaken us. It has gone away, moved. I don't know where. Yesterday it rained. Today I think it rained for a little bit, but we have no sun. So I wanted to go out with a friend. We have like a food expo, a food fair, and like a doggy fair where she lives, which is quite far away. But I'm before my period, and I'm like, you know what? I just want to vegetate today. I don't want to do anything. My plans for today is, firstly, I want to finish my coffee and eat. Second, I want to start Dracula. I've only read like 2-3 pages from it from the beginning, and I only know that, what's the name? Johann? I only read 2 pages. I don't know what I'm in my mind it makes sense what I'm trying to say, but it doesn't translate to my mouth. And the other thing I'm planning on doing is brainstorming for YouTube. That's my book. I like physical writing. Anyway, I'll go out on the balcony because there's another thing I want to show you. Okay, so I wanted to show you this guy here. You see him? Okay, so this is not my cat. This is a stray cat. Yesterday somebody left a message on our group chat. In the building where I live, we have a WhatsApp group, and somebody said like, did somebody lose a gray cat on the 2nd level? And then my heart stopped for a moment, because my friend who lives on the 2nd level, by the way, and has a gray cat, she's on holiday and I'm babysitting, and I saw myself dead for a moment, and I thought, I've lost her cat. I thought I forgot to lock the door, or maybe somehow Felix learned how to use his paws and open the door. So I went downstairs, and it was this guy. And nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows who he's from, where he's from. And he's like the sweetest dude ever. And I'm waiting for my sister. Hopefully she can take him. Please, my sister. If not, I'm going to contact the lady that helped me adopt Oscar. They have an animal rescue. It's how I call it, animal rescue. And I'm sure somebody will find him a home, because let's be honest, like, he's the cutest little monkey. So he's super cute. He's very lovable. He purrs a lot. And I hope my sister will take him. If not, I'll contact that lady and hopefully we can find him a home, because he looks like a Russian blue breed. Anyway, I gave him a bath last night because he had fleas. I saw a flea on him and I don't want to bring that into my house. So we had the bath. He was pretty okay with it. Not the biggest fan of shampoo, but we got along. And today I introduced him to Oscar, and they were friendly up to a point. I'll keep you posted. Today I want to read and I want to write, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. I smell like cat. Like a different cat. They're not violent with the other kitty, they're just very curious. He's like super sweet. I'll put on some photos and some videos that I've taken of him. I started reading Dracula. I'm on page 53, this is the second chapter. Mr. Harker, sorry. He just went to Dracula's castle, they had dinner, and he was describing him the Carfax property, saying that it's very, it's like a lonely place, surrounded by big, thick walls and a big forest. So we'll see what happens. So far, I like it. I like the prose. And one thing that I loved about this book, apart from the fact that it was like the first translation from English to Romanian, it has illustrations depicting like different scenes. And I don't remember the last time I've seen a book that had illustrations. I think these are the original illustrations from the time this book has been translated from English to Romanian. As I said in the beginning, there's like an essay regarding how the word vampire came into Romanian, in what novels and operas you could see that. Hey monkey. And it's very interesting. I like that. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. I don't want to do much today, and I just want to read. It's one of those days where I want to read. See you later. This was her absolute toy before the redhead came over, Oscar, and took over for her. Now it's his toy. So what I wanted to talk to you about is this book, Dracula. It took me a really long time to decide to read this book, but I am halfway through. I have this much left. I'm on page 152, and I really like it. Now, the reason I decided to read this book was because I've seen a couple of clips from the Gary Oldman movie, and I know the book is now going to be like the movie because this is a gothic novel, and that was a little scene that I've seen within the movie, and I don't think that is here. I'm still hoping, but I don't think that's how the book is going to go. So far, I like it. Spoiler, okay. I'm at the point where I think Van Helsing realized what is going on with Lucy, and now they're doing a blood transfusion, and I really want to see what happens later. If I didn't know that this was a vampire book, I would be really intrigued, because I think it's very well written, and I like the style. It's a journal style and a letter style, and I like it. And I like the translation. It is in pieces, and what I mean by that is it starts like this. It's like on chapters, because this book was translated and was published in a magazine like a really long time ago. I think 1920s, something like that. And 1928 and 1929. And they found all of the bits and pieces from those magazines, and they've put them exactly as they are in this book. I love that. And it has illustration. The one thing I have to say is that the illustrations are not keeping pace with the story. Like, you can find an illustration later in the story when that scene already happened. So I would have liked to see that illustration with the story, but you know, it is what it is. I want to finish it in a couple of days. I think this is what I read this weekend. So, and I didn't read constantly because I just didn't feel like it. But I think I'm going to finish in about 2-3 days. But I like it. I cannot believe it took me so long to read Dracula. I was scared. I don't like horror of any kind, and especially anything related to supernatural. I think that for me is worse because I do believe in ghosts and creatures, and I think they could be real, and maybe that's why it took me so long to read it. Next on the list is Frankenstein, which I have not read either. Let's play for a little bit. This video is about a month later compared to the other ones, and I feel like I need to give you an update on the book as well as the cat. Let's start with the cat. The tiny gray cat that I found was adopted. Firstly, my sister took him, but my sister has a cat, and he became quite violent with her, and unfortunately she wasn't able to keep him. She brought him back to my house, and he became violent with my other cats because I have 3 cats. So I posted him on Facebook and Instagram, and a very nice lady came and she adopted him. Unfortunately, because he was violent with the other cats, we couldn't keep him, and he needed to be adopted into a house that had no other cats because he needs his own space. He was super sweet and loving with me, but only when we were just us, because if others were around, then he wasn't. So he's happy, he's thriving, he has found his mommy. It was not me. Anyways, regarding the book, this is the copy that I have. This is the first translation from English to Romanian. The guy that translated the book published them in a magazine. So the lady that put together the book found the magazine and found all of the chapters basically from the magazine and put the book together. And let me tell you, I loved it. And I cannot believe it took me this long to read this book because it's an amazing book. If I were to rate it from 1 to 5, I would give it maybe like a 3.5. It's not a 4, but it's a 3.5, a solid 3.5. And the reason for that is, firstly, let me tell you what I liked. I liked the story. If I didn't knew who Dracula was and who the vampire was and the whole myth, because, you know, me being Romanian and growing up with this myth of Dracula, the vampire, knowing the stories, if I didn't knew who he was, then I would be totally intrigued because you find out who he is and what is going on with the girls only like halfway through, maybe towards the end of the book, because when Van Helsing is being introduced into the story, he's not telling what he knows. He knows the treatment for what is happening. He's seen it before, but he's not telling what he knows, and he lets the other discover what is going on and see with their own eyes, because telling people that you believe in mythical creatures that suck blood and live for hundreds of years is not really something plausible, and people might not believe you, right? So you need to let them see with their own eyes. And so I think this is one of the important points. Like, if I didn't know who Dracula was, I would be really, really intrigued about the book. But the prose really kept me engaged, and the way that it was translated and written, I like the way that it was written. Basically, it is a journal style and a letter style. It doesn't have a flow. You see letters and journal entries from one person to the other, and this is how you discover the story. Now, on the points that didn't I I didn't agree with, or I would like to have known a little bit more about. Firstly, I would have liked to know more about Dracula. I know the name is basically he's the main character of the story, but he kind of isn't, because you don't see a lot of Dracula. You see him in the beginning, you see him a little bit through the book, and then at the end. But I would have liked to know who he was, how he became a vampire, how did he live, can he live with other creatures' blood, like you see in other movies with shiny vampires. Can he live without human blood? Can he transform back into human? Is he a good person deep inside, or is he evil by default and he's a monster? Or is he, like, who is Dracula? I want to know, because you do get a description in the book about who may have been and how old he might be, but you don't see how he became Dracula, and I would have liked to know more of that. And the other point is, I would have liked to see the connection between Dracula and Renfield, because Renfield is not the guy that you see in the movie in the beginning, going to Dracula's house and, being the lawyer's assistant. Renfield is a crazy person that lives in a sanatorium next to Carfax, the house that Dracula buys. So what is the connection that he has with Dracula? Because that isn't really very clear. In my own opinion, I think that because Renfield had a weak mind, he was already crazy, Dracula's influence was easier on him, and maybe he felt Renfield as being a weak-minded person, and that why it was so easy for him to influence him. But I would have liked to see a little bit more of that, if that makes sense. Anyways, this was Dracula. As I've mentioned, I really, really love the book. And now I want to read Frankenstein as well, because I've mentioned before, I'm not a fan of horror, especially if it's supernatural horror. I do believe that ghosts and the other world exists, and maybe that's why I'm so opposed to it. And seeing that Dracula was so good, I want to go more into this. I know I've mentioned in my previous video that, this is just a gothic novel. It cannot be horror. If you look at the description of this, it definitely says gothic horror on it. So silly me on my part, but it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. It had a couple of bits here and there, like the red eyes and him being like a creepy presence. It wasn't that bad. I really liked it. So if you're looking to read Dracula, this is a good classic. It's really good. And I realized that I like gothic literature. In the winter, in November, I think I read Wuthering Heights, and I've seen the trailer of the movie. No. No. But gothic literature is amazing. Thank you for coming this far. This is the end of the video. Let me know if you read Dracula, if you liked it. I want to see the movie now, but the one with Gary Oldman. Don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe, because luck will come your way if you do that. I promise. I'll go eat some lunch. See you. Thank you. Bye.